everyone, I'm Courtney Bright. I'm the social and digital media editor at American Salon. We are live in New York right now with one of our favorites, Sally Rogerson.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
And
Courtney,
I'm
for
really
asking
excited.
me.
This is our second Facebook Live with Sally at the Davines Salon in New York. It's absolutely gorgeous. I wish you guys could see more. But Sally, what are we doing today?
Well, Courtney, I think that today I wanted to do a form of graduation and a little cute kind of shorter length. I think that heavier graduation is really kind of coming through now. We're seeing it a lot on a lot of the young celebrities and supermodels and stuff. So I wanted to share that with everyone.
Perfect. Well, you get started.
Good. Thank you, Courtney. Okay, everyone. So good morning. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. We're actually at Davines headquarters. And it's a beautiful day. We're up in the penthouse, so we've got a lot of amazing light and a beautiful view of New York. I wanted to share this morning with you a heavier graduation and something that's a little bit shorter on the side length. So this is Sarah, my model. She has beautiful textured hair. It's a little bit wavy, and I personally love that slightly more lived-in look at the moment. And I like it when the hair dries with some texture in it. Of course, you can still go with the blow dry and the iron, but I think a lot of people right now are responding to, you know, the kind of 90s grunge vibe that we have in fashion. We're seeing a lot of hair that's a bit more dirty looking, and we're seeing hair that's a little bit more lived in. The ends are a little bit more kind of piecey. So I wanted to actually avoid cutting a hard line into her hair, and so I'm going to do a heavy graduation starting in the side. So I'm going to put the length in first, and the way I'm going to approach this is simply by taking a horizontal section, bringing the hair down, and I'm going to start cutting this through my fingers on purpose. You could also, of course, cut through the comb. If you cut through the comb, that's going to be crisper and sharper. You could also, of course, press it on the skin, but I prefer not to in this ear area and also in the neck area because, you know, it doesn't sit very well. It's not a very flat surface. So I'm going to start with a line technique pretty much through my fingers. I have also sectioned off behind the ear, more towards the mastoid process, so kind of behind that gap that exists behind the ear area. So simply bringing this hair down, and the key thing here is to be really, really, really gentle on the tension. So you can see I'm going to use the large tooth of my comb, bring the hair down, super gentle, and then also just really, really tap with your scissors and make it very, very loose. I'm lucky because Sarah has, you know, amazing ears, so it's not something I have to actually worry about. And also what I'm into at the moment is slightly rounded shapes. So that's definitely something that I think is really happening right now. If you've been looking at Fashion Week, you're seeing a lot of bowly round shapes. So I think for Sarah, I might round up a little bit. And so I'm going to come through very gently, very loose tension, as I said, and pick a length. I'm going to point more towards the lip area because I feel like that is very, very flattering. And I can't tell you enough how loose my tension is through there. I don't get any satisfaction from cutting it at all because I can't pull it tight, I can't make it clean. I'm actually loosening the whole thing up, and if there's any kind of loose stray hairs. So really, really tapping it, very, very loose on that outline. I'm then going to go all the way up to the top area. She does have some previous layers in that hair, so, you know, they'll come into play a little bit. So I'm going to bring everything down to pretty much a one length through my fingers. I'll have an edge of graduation and it will round up slightly. So I think that's going to be a cool look for her. I'll just turn her a little bit. And so very simple technique right now. I feel like hair cutting is very much quite classic techniques. And I think that partnered up with color and how it's kind of coming through with color at the moment, I think simple haircuts are definitely best at the moment. So you can see the hair is running out a little bit at the moment. Because of those previous layers, I'm running out of hair. Super loose on my tension again. Because it's wavy, even though I'm cutting in more of a clean line, you will still see a softness to it because I'll get a touch of graduation on the ends. So bringing that down, there's pretty much nothing left to cut through there. I'm putting the side length in now because I really enjoy cutting that side in first and then bringing the graduation through into the back. I can use that side length as a guide to take me through. And also I think that, you know, a lot of clients like to see what length is it going to be at the front. Like that's a lot of their main concern. So sometimes cutting something like a graduated bob and starting in the front is really quite a good idea. It takes a little bit more technical skill, of course, but sometimes clients enjoy it because you're fiddling around in the back for an hour and they're all about, well, what's going to happen here? So sometimes it's good to get that in first. I'm going to use that as a springboard to now go into this back area, and you will find I'm going to be using diagonal kind of curved sections. They are going to be more on the horizontal plane because I want to have a heavier buildup of weight. And you will also find that I'm going to build the weight quite heavy because I'm just going to get over to this side so you guys can see a bit better. Good? So you will find that because I am going to hold it with some tension in my fingers, and also because the hair is wavy, it will have an extra kind of spring to it. So I don't need to lift my graduation quite as high because I know it will have an extra added elevation when it dries itself. So I don't need to go quite as tight. So this is my first section on the graduation. Graduation is a build-up of weight. So that build-up of weight is going to support and push that hair out. Graduation, I find, is very much dictated by head shape, occipital bone, density of the hair, texture of the hair, but also I find that graduation is very much dictated by fashion and you know, graduation that you would put on a, you know, a cool modern client right now is maybe not the type of graduation that you will be doing on them in 5 years' time. For example, heavier, lower, wedgy shapes and also kind of bowly shapes are really coming through at the moment. But in about 5 years' time, we might think that that's completely old-fashioned and we'll never do them again. And we'll be doing high, tight graduations. So graduation, you will find, is, you know, often dictated by fashion. I can remember as well, if we're talking about fashion, you know, the haircut that is really has taken over the salon and is very, very commercial and is our money maker at the moment is the layered bob. You know, it can be very, very clean on the outlines, or it can be all loose and piecey on the outlines, going with all of this kind of balayage and all of this kind of freer color. And the layered bob, you know, probably 6 years ago was something that you only ever did on your super classic clients that were maybe pretty conservative. So it's interesting that you take a really classic haircut like that and what it's become and how fashionable it is now. And it's the same with graduation as well. You know, you'll take something that maybe a few years ago was kind of something you put on, you know, your kind of more classic ladies, and now you're putting it on your cool girls that have got a bleaching tone and have that lovely, beautiful pink and lilac kind of color in their hair, and it takes on a whole new meaning. Okay, so I'm just coming around with my graduation, and you can see now that I'm getting a little bit of a build up of weight. You can start to see some weight forming through there, which I really, really like. Obviously, the more you lift, the more you elevate, the lighter it's going to be up here. So that's your decision. Once you work with graduation and you truly kind of understand it, you will find you can do anything with it. I have to really think about where do I want it to fall. The more I bring it down, the heavier it's going to be. And you can see on my model, Sarah, I'm actually doing it pretty heavy and low because I like that kind of cool, low, bowly feeling. My elevation, I'm taking my guide from my sides that I already cut, and I'm bringing that hair around with my body position. Because we're filming, I am kind of moving the chair around a little bit. But if I was in the salon, I would be doing the SR Education shuffle, okay? That's what we call it when we're doing around graduation. You have to move around the head because you're trying to get a round shape in that back area. If I just stay here, I will start to pull the hair naturally towards me. That will end up getting too long and low in that back area. So you should be walking around the head, and you should be trying to bring that hair to the middle of your body as you're walking around. As I said, because we're filming, I'm kind of turning the chair a little bit so that you guys can see. But always think of a round shape as a bit more of a dance. You know, you're kind of dancing around the head, which is important because if you're trying to cut any kind of more rounded shape, then you have to cut smaller increments of hair to get that bevel and to get that curve. So all the way around. Again, I'm just kind of letting the hair dry a little bit. I'm working the hair. I'm going to start getting my hands in there. I have prepped the hair already with some Day Day, which is our leave-in conditioner. And I tend to put a little bit of hair mist in with the Day Day, just for condition-wise. And then I'll also be using the sea salt spray as well. So the sea salt spray is my kind of go-to really when I'm doing wavy hair and I want to keep that, you know, lived-in look, and I want it to dry textured. I'm sometimes possibly capable of using too much sea salt spray. If any of you have ever done that, you know what I'm saying. I really like it when it gets a bit dusty and very dry and it goes a bit more editorial. But I think for your clients, you have to kind of know where to stop with your salon application. Okay, so I'm coming through now. I am lifting a little bit higher, but I'm still using my guide off of the base and the hair that I've cut down here. So you can see how my weight line is developing through here. I'll do my outline afterwards. I'm not a big fan of putting an outline in and then breaking it up afterwards. I feel like that's kind of not very efficient. If a client comes in and she wants to have something at the end that has a strong, clean line to it, then I'll put an outline in. If I have a client that comes in and the end result that she's asking for is for it to be soft and piecey and loose, I'll always cut the haircut from the inside and then do the outline afterwards. That way I don't have to try and break up an existing line, because for those of you in the salon that do that or have experienced that, you know it's really hard work to kind of go in and try and cut through that line. It takes a lot of extra time, and Also, you have to really, you have to really go in and break up that line. It seems pointless to do things twice, in my opinion. Okay, so that is my first side. I've just got a nice kind of little bit of a bowly rounded shape. I'm going to be coming through and doing the outline secondary. As I said, she does have existing layers in the top, so you didn't see a lot coming down from there. And she already has naturally a little bit of a cute fringe, so I'll be working into that as well, and maybe kind of just loosening it up. Now over to the other side. I'm going to work in, again, my side, first of all. Now, you have to think about your balance. So always kind of going in and checking and feeling your balance. You can, if you want to, look at features of the face, but sometimes that's a little bit tricky in the salon. You'll find that clients aren't always lined up on their ears. Sometimes they can be a little bit off. So I kind of try and just kind of feel it, and sometimes I have to look away or close my eyes a little bit, and so I feel it truly, because when we're looking at it, we can sometimes just make it look however we want it to. So coming through, just trying to put in my first section, whoops, and getting my balance in there. It's okay, guys, I've got another one. So coming through and putting in my balance, first of all. I'll probably damp it down again with some Day Day hair mist, and this just gives it a little bit of condition. I like to wet hair down with a bit of product. It's definitely something that I enjoy using when I'm cutting hair. I like to put product in there. It doesn't have to be anything too heavy, you know. Now, remember what I'm going to do. I'm going to loosen my tension again. I'm going to feel my other side for my guide. And I'm going to come through and first of all feel the back of the ear, and then come through and feel the front area. I always put a slightly longer one in first and then go back and feel it, okay? Also, you have to remember if one side's kind of wet and one side's dry, be aware of that as well. So I'm just going to put in a slightly longer length, let it kind of come out and dry a little bit, then come back through and kind of feel it. Obviously, I don't have a mirror, so I'm just going to go in front for a second and have a little look, and then start to bring that hair out so you can visually see it too. Okay, off we go. We're going to get started now on this side, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming in. What a great model. I always get very lucky when I'm in New York with these models. So I'm going to continue that through, put in, first of all, I'm going to put that outline in. Just coming through like I did on the first side, very gentle. Super loose tension, really, really thinking about what I'm doing with that tension through there, and really kind of loosening up. So for those of you that I don't know, as I said, my name is Sally Rogerson. I do have a hair education company called SR Education, and you know, we travel across the US doing classes. So we're usually around in a city near you, and we have some really fabulous classes. The 3-day Women's Comprehensive is my go-to cutting class, and I also have an online virtual classroom. So if you go to sallyrogerson.com, you will find all of this stuff on there. I do live demonstrations like this every week, and I also have my foundation 10 haircuts on there that you can use on long, medium and short hair. So check it out if you're interested in what we're doing here, sallyrogerson.com. Okay, now moving through into the graduation in the back. So coming through again with that horizontal diagonal section. I like to sometimes put a little bit of a curve into it as well, because when you use more of a curved section, you will feel that it gives it that kind of more curved head hugging feeling, which I think is really, really nice. My guide is going to be from my length through the side, and because I'm right-handed, I'm just going to turn her around, Courtney, so I can try and show this, because this is really, really important. Is that good for you? This is very important with body position. I'm right-handed, so I have a tendency, and so do all right-handers, to open up their body. So you can see if I open up my shoulder like this, which is what a lot of right-handed people do on this side, I'm going to start to tip my fingers out, and I'm not going to get that graduation and push around the head like I'm supposed to. So what I have to be aware of on this side is I have to really push this right shoulder around the corner, and by doing that I will get my fingertip to start to push in through there, which will become supportive underneath there. So that's a really big thing for the right-handers. If you are left-handed, then that's going to be on this side for you, and you need to be very aware of your left shoulder, and you need to start to not open up through there. You need to start to push your shoulder around and in. I think if you are left-handed, you do sometimes get a little bit of a raw deal in classes, right? But I believe very strongly in teaching people in their correct left-handed body position. So if you do come to any of my classes, we go through it all for left-handers as well. And we can, all of my teaching staff and myself, we can all cut left-handed. It's not very pretty, but we can do it, and we can also show you your body position. And I think that's really, really important, because left-handers get a little bit stiff, don't they? We have a really big show coming up, the SR Education Hair Happening, and that's going to be in Vegas in February. And I'm actually going to have an hour's class over there, and it's going to go through for left-handed people, anyone that's there that's left-handed. It's going to be an hour's class on body position, hand and body position for the left-hander. How to stand when you're doing graduation, how to stand when you're doing layering, how to stand when you're doing a line. So we're going to have a little quick left-handers boot camp, because we get that a lot in our classes, that no one ever really addresses that, you know. So any left-handers out there, come through to Vegas and we will look after you. Okay, now because I am right-handed, and this is my slightly more challenging side, and I'm doing this round shape in the back, I prefer now to start actually cutting from the bottom and then to walk around backwards to the top. The reason for that is that I get a smooth curve through there, as opposed to if I start cutting here, I'm cutting into the hair, and that's how you get corners sometimes. So what I'm doing here is actually starting at the bottom, and I'm smoothly moving around and through into my connection in the sides. So then I'll get to my side area, and this is where my guide is through the side. Always working with the hair, making it lay down. Remember, all I'm really concerned with is where this weight line's sitting. I don't care about that area at all. That's going to be done afterwards. I've been working, putting in a little bit of the sea salt spray as I go along, because when I start to put my hands in it and dry it a little bit as I go, you will see this really super cool texture come out. And I don't know, I think that there's an ease to fashion at the moment. There's an ease to the way that people are wearing their hair at the moment. And I think it's kind of a bit more of a, I just woke up like this kind of feeling. it's very interesting because the products that we're using now are definitely being a little bit more attuned to trying to make the hair look almost a little bit dirty, like the 90s all over again, you know? So product wise, you know, your product choice in the salon, you might find has changed a little bit. I mean, not on your super classic ladies that come in for a super blow dry every week or something, but you know, your clients that are a little bit more, you know, influenced by fashion. Let's put it that way. I know I'm not reaching for the flat iron as much. I'm just kind of letting the hair be a bit more. But I think just like natural makeup, the natural look on makeup, we all know that some people can, you know, have a natural makeup look, but it's actually a lot of makeup on their face. It's a bit like that with hair as well. To kind of make hair look like it's a bit undone and natural, you still have to put product in it. So I'm reaching out for things like the sea salt spray, things that are a little bit heavier, not greasy, but just definitely a little bit heavier. Okay, so I'm coming through with my graduation, connecting both areas together now. So you can see how the graduation is sitting now. I'd like to go through, I'm going to do a little bit of dusting, I'm going to do a little bit of checking through there, and I'm also going to dry the hair slightly. I've been putting my hands in it a little bit to try and get that cool texture. I am going to go through very quickly with a diffuser. It'll only take me a couple of minutes, but I'd like to do the rest of it a little bit more free today, a bit more freehand. So all I'm doing is crisscrossing back through this back area and then putting the head back a little bit. I'd like to do something cool in the fringe as well. So I'm very simply going to go through as I have with just that little bit more sea salt spray. I have already used the leave-in conditioner, the Day, and I'm also going to just use a diffuser. I just use the diffuser sock, which I think is, you know, really useful. Sorry, Courtney, disappearing on you. So I just tend to use the sock, which is the YS Park one, and it just clips over the top. So I'm sorry for the noise, it'll take 2 minutes. So stay with us, I'm going to do this real fast. If I want to get something that's a little bit more of an editorial look, then I will use the tips of my fingers and kind of almost rub the hair a little bit. This is a really good trick if you are trying to get texture and you're doing some kind of photo shoot or something and you don't want to put tons of product on because you know, for example, like the next shot, you're going to have to blow dry it out smooth. So you just use your fingers and you can really transform the hair texture. I'm going to go for a slightly more editorial, frizzy, fluffy, pretty kind of look. If I was doing more of a diffuse dry in the salon, I might actually twist it and then I would not touch it. I would dry it without touching and kind of set it a little bit more, but I'm just going to go for like a fun, slightly more editorial look. So I'm going to put my hands in it because of that. So she's not fully dry, but I'm just going to still be able to continue to work and put my hands in it as she's drying off. I tend to use the palms of my hands a little bit to smooth the cuticle down. I like that kind of flatter look and then more pulled out at the bottom. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I'll put a little bit more finishing product in as well as I go along. But I wanted to address continuing to finish the haircut. I'm moving through into more of a larger tooth comb now, just to kind of keep that texture and pull that down a little bit. And then also just finishing off my look. So coming through, and you can start to play around and go into the outlines now. You go that way for me. That's it, cool. So I'm going to comb that hair down and then very simply start to cut up and in using the tips of my scissors and really just kind of bring this whole look together. Obviously that hair at the bottom, you know, is not there to keep. We are going in now and bringing that length up slightly, and that's going to allow us to reconcile the graduation and make it look something a little bit more special. So coming through using the points of my scissors and really kind of keeping it a little bit on the more grown out kind of feeling side. So I'm going in with the points of my scissors and keeping a little bit more of a broken feeling. And then I'll come through and take a little bit of that fluff off her neck off. A little bit fluffy on the neck. You can use a trimmer for that, obviously, whatever you feel is appropriate for you. So I'm starting to get this really cute little shape. I don't really like to go into people's hairlines very, very heavily. I'm more interested in trying to work within their natural hairline, but if it means it's going to look better and it's going to suit them better on the profile, then I will totally come in a little bit. So again, coming through using the points of my scissors, bringing that length up. I'm going in so that my scissors are more on an angle here, as opposed to just straight in, because I want to make it a bit more broken and a little bit more textured. And then coming all the way around into the other side. Go that way for me, that's it. And you know, it just kind of depends on how you feel about hair at the moment. 1 week I'll be doing really kind of clean outlines and, you know, kind of drawing in very, very strong outlines. Other weeks I'll be doing it kind of loose and textured. I think it's important to keep your work very, very varied and to be able to do everything. If you can only just do one kind of outline, if you do everything really strong or you do everything really soft, I know it kind of gives you a bit of a signature, but it does limit your clientele. You want to kind of be able to work with anything and everything. Coming through into that side, now I'm trying to reconcile the back into the sides. And just really trying to have that nice relationship with your scissors. As I said, you know, you can kind of work taking off that hair with your scissors if you prefer, you know, if that's something you're more comfortable with. Otherwise, if you would like to, you can always kind of use just a little neck trimmer. That's completely up to you. I think a lot of hair at the moment is all about not trying too hard. It's about doing something that's a little bit more simple and doing something that is, you know, a little bit more kind of clean. and very easy hair for the client. Okay, coming around now. Again, the hair's still a little bit damp, so I'm kind of coming through and still working it with my hands. Want to get some nice cute texture in there. Coming through into the front finally. Just put your head forward for me. I'm going to use the hair refresher, which is actually a leave-in dry shampoo, but I tend to use it a lot for styling because it gives you that really cool look. And for some reason that one isn't working. Maybe we could get another one. So I will actually change over to, maybe I have another one. Okay, that happens in the salon, right folks? So I'm going to use the hair refresher. It's very kind of dry because obviously with a dry shampoo, you know, it's trying to absorb oil, but it's very beautiful to use when styling as well. And then I'm just going to come around and do the finishing in the outline. This will be done more freehand, and this will be done just simply by looking at how I want it to be around the face, looking at the suitability. Do you want to keep it more square? Do you want to make it a little bit more rounded through there? I like to kind of twist the hair a little bit, so I'm twisting, opening and closing. So I'm not using like the blade like a razor. If you want to do that, then just use a razor. That's, you know, a razor's job. I'm always very interested in using the correct tool for the job. So I'm going to twist the hair with my fingers a little bit, open and close, and actually cut the hair. This gives it quite a raw feeling. I think it's kind of, you know, a little bit PC. I think when we do these kind of things, I think sometimes we can almost do too much and we kind of don't know when to stop sometimes, and we always end up making it kind of almost too perfect again. So just keeping it more of that raw feeling, I think it's really good. So just keeping that looseness, and then I'm really just trying to decide if I want to have these corners still. I'm going to pull the hair out, come over, and then just start to kind of freehand. A little bit of pointing in here. Just go that way for me. That's it. So a little bit of pointing, just kind of dressing this hair out as I freehand it so that I can have more of an expanded form. And it makes it more visual to be able to cut it. Coming around, nearly there. How are you doing?
Great.
Such a great model. Okay. Coming through onto the other side. Hairy, sorry about that. Little bit of twisting. And then again, I'm going to open and close. And then final parts around the face. How much you want to keep, totally up to you and your client. Have a vision though. I think it's nice for you to guide your clients through the process. I know clients don't like it if every 2 seconds you're kind of saying to them, what do you think about this? How about that? Would you like that? You know, they want you to kind of guide them a little bit, and they really, really want to have you, let's just take the gown off, give them ideas on how they should look. They come to you for a professional opinion, and they come to you because they trust you. So I think it's important to share your vision and also, you know, plow through and plow forward with it, and not ask them every 2 seconds. We ask them in the consultation on the big picture things, of course, but then after that it's up to you to kind of really steer the ship. Okay, let's just do a little recap. Very simple technique. This is actually a haircut from my comprehensive cutting program. So that's sallyrogerson.com. This is a haircut that's very classic because I've done it on a cool girl like Sarah. It looks pretty. She has a really nice bleaching tone, a little bit of roots. I really like that. And you know, I could also suggest doing a little bit of interesting color on her as well that would really bring the haircut out. So for Sarah, I did my sides first on purpose. I went a little bit rounded, and I then went all the way through into the back using a heavy low graduation, a simple technique. There's nothing tricky going on through here. There's no disconnection or anything like that. It just is what it is. I think modern cool hair right now is quite simple, and I think that you have to have the confidence of cutting to be able to stand behind that and say, hey, I'm just going to do a bob, you know, because that's sometimes just what people want. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you, and I once again thank American Salon for having me on their amazing digital site, and thank you so much, Courtney.
Of course, speaking of American Salon, for those of you that are just joining us, I'm Courtney Bright. I'm the social and digital media editor at American Salon. We're live in New York right now at the Davines headquarters, which is an absolute gorgeous space. And we're with Sally Rogerson.
Hi, everyone.
So if you're just tuning in, you can go back and replay and watch this video at any time on our Facebook page. And Sally, where can we find you on Instagram?
Yeah, we can find you can find me on Instagram at Sally Rogerson, and also I do this once a week. I do a lot of live hair cutting on my virtual classroom, and again, you can find that at sallyrogerson.com.
So be sure to go check that out. You know where to find American Salon on Facebook because we're all here. You can find us on Instagram and Snapchat at American_Salon. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much,
Good.
Sally.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you.